and welcome to Atlantic Television Network. This is Atlantic Blowout, and it's a syndicated live program of the network that features chit-chatting and conversations on very special interest topics, on news events and stories. And also we look at correspondence reports and experts' opinion, stakeholders analysis. We have our guest who will be telling us what he thinks about these stories. Now, these are the stories. We'll look at the story on Democracy Day, Tinubu's speech, just history. And Deborah stated that one. And then on governance, Nigeria's democracy has long way to go. This was stated by Sani. And then on minimum wage, relief won't come from increase in wages by federal government. And on fuel subsidy, be transparent on claims, Nance tells FG. And on brain drain, Shatima urges resident doctors to resist Japa syndrome. We'll also take a look at the story from Nollywood. I didn't ban smoking ritual since. This was stated by Hussein. We'll take a short time out where we return to introduce our guest and find out more of what he has to say about this stories. Please stay with us.
Every day, our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics.
Nobody's ambition is what's the blood.
I have fought very firmly.
Natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody, and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
People into the country illegally. That is amazing.
Honorable
You human trafficker.
Honorable
You are a human
They are not picking our calls. They made up their minds.
So no agreement with the EU, but
from the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on sport news, live analysis, only on ATN.
Welcome back. Quickly, let's tell you who we have with us in the studio. We have Ambassador Eke, C. Eke. Welcome to Blowout once again.
My pleasure.
All right, Ambassador is ready for this one. Let's take a look at our very first story now. President Bola Tinubu has urged stakeholders in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, to pursue dialogue instead of litigation in resolving land disputes. Now, President Bola Tinubu, senior advocate of Nigeria, San Eboluwa Adeborua, has criticized President Bola Tinubu's Democracy Day speech, saying he only rehearsed history in his address. Now, speaking with newsmen, Adeborua stated that the president's speech failed to tackle the pressing challenges affecting Nigeria's democracy. He told us what democracy is and all of that. Now, he posited that after listening to the president's speech, unfortunately, he cannot agree that anything has changed, adding that the speech was not different from what columnists would write concerning the history of Nigeria. It is true that the president, along with us and many other Nigerians, campaigned for democracy. You would ask me what we were fighting for. The June 12 elections were annulled by the military, and we were advocating for that election to be recognized. this was what he said. Part of his statement actually had other things to say. And I realized that he's not the only Nigerian who feels this way, that the president's speech did not really have some areas that they expected the president to touch. Some people were expecting new reforms. Some other people were expecting, like you said, history and all of that. But let's get your thoughts now, your expectation from the speech of the president and the reaction.
Well, the celebration of Democracy Day, the new date that was being marked now for celebration of democracy in Nigeria, I think is a historical event.
Okay.
So if Democracy Day is a historical event, I think the best Mr. President should do is to know the history of where we are coming from and where we are. So I think what other Nigerians we are also looking at is, having given us the historical journey of our democracy, maybe he would have added, these are the expectations that we are looking onto, or this and that.
Talking about history, do you think Nigerians do not already know the history of democracy? Is that what they tuned in for the president's speech to hear?
Well, if we knew what democracy is all about, we all celebrate our birthday. We know our birthday, so how come we celebrate it? We know our marriage anniversary date. How come we celebrate it?
Now, you don't get the point now.
Let me get it.
Having the president come to address Nigerians,
yes,
do you feel people tuned in to listen to the history of democracy, just the history of democracy?
If you know the...
Nigerians, don't you feel that Nigerians already know the history?
No.
Even a child will sit you down and tell you the history of Nigeria.
It's not true.
The democracy.
It's not true. You are also aware that history as a subject in most of our schools now has been eliminated.
Okay, so that's why the president had to come lecture us on history.
Not really. When we talk about history, not everybody have the complete knowledge about the history of our democracy. And even if you do, the way Mr. President has presented it definitely may not be completely the way all of us know it. And there is no way everybody will claim that we all know the history of our Nigerian democracy.
So that is what we were expecting, or that's what you were expecting. Now let's come back to you from the beginning, when you heard that the president will be addressing Nigerians on Democracy Day. You were expecting the president to come lecture you on what democracy is all about and the history of democracy. Is that what you're expecting as a Nigerian?
Well, even if the president says, I thank God that as a nation, our democracy has lasted for 27 years, and 25 years. And I trust that God will keep our democracy. It's not a bad speech. For instance, what takes our governance expectation is the budget. The budget represents the picture of what governance will be in that period of 1 year under review.
Okay.
So it's not the democracy speech of Mr. President that will form the opinion of how government will, fare as if it were.
So Nigerians should go back to the budget if they want to find out the new reforms that are coming up.
We are talking about reform and then what we expect from government.
That's what people were expecting. You know, yesterday was Democracy Day, right?
Yes.
And we aired the president's address to Nigerians, and I remember on this program we had to highlight some of the things that the president said, and we also did a special report on the history of democracy, what it stands for, the significance and all of that for Nigerians to get to understand better. Now, the guests that we had both said that they actually were waiting for more. Now, from this particular story, you would see that we have more Nigerians or other Nigerians who were expecting to hear things pertaining to what is on ground at the moment. Even the minimum wage that the president referred to when he talked about labor, that he has broken bread with labor now, so there are no issues. People were expecting something new. That was, oh, don't worry, we're still on it. We're expecting something new. We're expecting you to tell us, okay, this is what we have decided. Okay, this is the amounts that we have now decided to pay.
You see, the president, I'm not holding brief for him, but I think he was trying to be civil and matured. The Nigerian Labour Congress is still ongoing. So the presidential statement is like a law which ought not to be ridiculed. So if a discussion is ongoing, he has said we are on it, because this is one of the matters that Nigerian workers expect that the president should claim knowledge of, which he affirmed. So for him to categorically come up and say, this is the amount we are going to pay or thereabout, which you know is still in view. So I think the president has not done wrong. So I think all he has tried to say is that we thank God for our democracy. We believe that we will get better. Okay. And I remind you, this is a government of hope. Okay. So he has given Nigerian hope.
Right. So let's have a quick peep into some of what the president actually said and that his speech. Just some points that were chosen now. President Bola Tinubu on Wednesday, he charged the leaders to commit to the values of inclusivity and accountability and transparency in the bid to guarantee a democracy that will flourish and endures for generations yet unborn. In his speech, he reflected on the nation's journey from the struggles of the military rule to becoming Africa's populous democracy. And now he also stated, one, he paid tribute to the heroes of democratic movement, which is something that is commendable. He acknowledged the sacrifices of some living heroes, and then the role of activists and journalists is one that he also got to point out. Talked about democracy as a way of life and not just something written on paper. He also emphasized that democracy is more than just holding elections. It's a way of life that includes freedom of speech, liberty, and peaceful transition of power. Now, on labor relations, he discussed negotiations with the organization, that's labor, on a new minimum wage, emphasizing the importance of cooperation over conflict in resolving disputes. Now, he noted that no one was arrested or threatened. Instead, the labor leadership was invited to break bread and negotiations toward a good faith resolution. I see you're eager to say something.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if you listen keenly, as I do, like you, as you read, you discover that he pointed, notable silent points, acknowledging the effort of those who fought for our democracy. These are the things that are important on the celebration day of our democracy.
So other things, new reforms, and now there's fire in your house, right? At the moment, a lot of people are very uncomfortable with these reforms and all of these things that are happening in Nigeria. It's biting hard on a lot of people, and they've been speaking out and crying out. There are lots of issues. That's why when this labor union, and that's why when some of these reforms came up, some Nigerians were like, this is not what we should be looking at now. Look at important pressing needs of the people.
I see.
So you don't think that these pressing needs would have been pointed out?
You see, the problem I assume here is that most Nigerians feel that the president has the prerogative of making a categorical statement only on a democracy day. The day of celebration is not a day of talking too much. Yes, he acknowledged the challenges of our democracy. And he went forth to say that, democracy is a good thing. And we need to practice it in this way and in that way to make it good. So I don't think the president has erred. There are issues that the government is tackling per day. Even after making that democracy speech, the president can still address Nigerians today or tomorrow.
But we haven't heard that yet.
No,
Are you planning an address for the president?
No, I'm always saying, if there are matters of utmost importance that Nigerians need to hear, the president can address the nation at any time. There is no law, barring Mr. President from addressing Nigerians except on a democracy day.
But we haven't had that.
No.
When all of these things have been had, we've had speech on conferences and all of that, but we haven't had the president come out to address Nigerians just for that case.
No, it happens. The truth is,
it happens, but have we had that ever since all of these biting issues?
like the president has always encouraged Nigerians that this phase will pass. During fuel subsidy challenges, Mr. President addressed the nation, right? So when issues of utmost importance arises, the president has the privilege or the prerogative to address the country. There's no law barring him.
Nigerians are expecting, or some Nigerians are expecting, it's not for you to come and just say it's
okay,
pass.
like what?
What they're expecting is tell us the moves that you're making. Tell us the process. Tell us what is going on. Tell us what you are doing, the steps that you are taking
like
to
on
make
which
sure
angle?
that is. You made a statement earlier and said that the president gives hope. He came to give hope to Nigerians, and the president said that this phase will pass. In your words, right? Even though that is also expected, Nigerians also expect that you state what is being done at the moment.
You see, I do not know what challenges that we are going through that we are not aware to a reasonable extent, the ones we ought to know that the government is doing. The burning issue is that of the Nigerian Labour Congress. And we are all aware that there is negotiation going on. And then Mr. President went on to say that they have never arrested any of the labor leaders who have threatened strike or neither went on strike. Rather, they have gone on negotiation, which is the beauty of democracy. Before you hear about labor leaders being arrested, right? So it shows that he is saying we are actually trying to live out the tenets of democracy. We give it to him, kudos. Now, if we are talking about Nigerian security system, I'm sure he talked about it, but security issues, the strategies are not disclosed on the public media. So I think if he's on the security issues,
that's just one part. That's just one among the many things that we are facing.
Yes.
Are you trying to say that you don't know the issues Nigeria is facing at the moment, the pressing issues?
Because
from your explanation, it's more like what else is there? It's just security.
No, the challenges that Nigerians are facing are enormous, and it's not in any way possible that the president, on the day of democracy speech, will begin to point one after the other the rate of death, the rate of dropout of student.
I don't think Nigerians expected that either.
See, the president is not barred in further addressing other issues after the democracy speech. I feel that the day of democracy is a historical event. So people must know what we are celebrating. People must know how come we are now celebrating, June 12th as our democracy day. Before it was not June 12th. So all of these historical narratives are important. So if the president has failed in addressing some other areas, pointing them clearly. But if you analyze the speech of Mr. President, every of the things happening in the country have been captured, but maybe not the way some people want it, specified very clearly. If the president says, well, our democracy is still having some challenges, what are the challenges we are having? Insecurity is there. Electoral system is also there. So he mustn't come out and point one after the other because of the timing. But he has acknowledged, oh, our democracy also have some challenges, even if we are faring well. So I think in other occasions, most of these things are being addressed. So I want to appeal to Nigerians that if the president has not spoken very, very well to our expectation, he's our father, he's our leader, he's our president, let us forgive him. And let us, because blaming Mr. President's speech today will not solve our numerous problems. So I